All right, so yesterday I dealt with the idea of narcissism a little bit. I discovered something I thought was kind of interesting that, at least for me, a large part of it dealt with concepts of truth and, kind of the complexity of what truth is. There are people, obviously, who deliberately dissemble, who don't even attempt to tell the truth. And there are other people who attempt to tell the truth and may fail to do so for various reasons. Um, you know, just for instance, you walk into a house and uh, from within the house, you can't really tell what the weather is like outside. And somebody asks you, is it raining? Well, if you report whatever the state of weather was when you came inside, whether you're right or wrong, I would not say you're necessarily lying, because if you say yes, it is. But it turns out that in the intervening time between you entering the house and the question being asked, it stopped raining, you're not telling, you know, the truth about what's actually going on, but you're telling the truth as well as you know it. Um, Obviously, a more precise answer would be it was when I came in, or I don't know, I'm not outside, or something like that. But we don't normally think of that kind of precision in those kinds of circumstances. And and this would, in almost all scenarios, be a relatively trivial matter. I mean, if you were to go outside and it turned out that it was no longer raining, um, then you say, oh, I was mistaken. On the other hand, if you come in and you deliberately and specifically say the opposite of what you think to be the truth. So if it in fact is a nice sunny day outside and you say, yeah, it's raining. Now, obviously, you could be being sarcastic or something like that or making some kind of a joke. But if you're doing it to be deliberately deceptive, if for some reason you truly want the other person to believe that it is raining, then that would be a lie, right? And again, in most circumstances, this would be a rather trivial matter. I mean, you can create a scenario in which it wouldn't be trivial, in which such a lie could actually be very harmful or very meaningful. But, I think that those are not what we would normally expect to occur, that those are some kind of special circumstances. Like, for instance, where somebody's been told, oh, you can't go outside if it's raining, or, their school will be canceled if it's raining, or something like that. And so you tell them, yes, it's raining outside, and they think that school is canceled, and so they don't go to school, or they don't go to work or something, and perhaps get themselves in some kind of trouble because they honestly felt that you were telling the truth and that it was raining, and for whatever reason, they didn't actually double check you. That's the other thing, too. This is one of those things where it's pretty easy to double check, right? And people can be mistaken about things like, what time did you get home last night? Oh, around 11:30. Oh, really? I was up and I checked my clock and it said around 12:30. And okay, maybe you said 11:30 because you were just straight lying. But maybe you said 11:30 because you lost track of time. You know, is the same circumstance? No. And then if you did lie, why did you lie? Did you lie because you were breaking curfew? Or did you lie perhaps because you just didn't want the other person to worry you weren't getting enough rest or something? So, these things might matter in terms of veracity, right? So, when it comes to truth and you know, what it is that you believe about the world. So, if I were to say, for instance, that I think Nickelback is a great band. Um, you would want to know what is my criteria for believing this. So if I say, well, I think they've got quite a few number one hits, and if we go and check Nickelback's record, and it turns out they don't, in fact, have a lot of number one hits. Now, I don't know. I assume they have a few. I assume they have some other hits. don't know. Never looked into it. Nickelback's not my thing. But let's say that they, in fact, don't have a lot of number one hits. And I said, one of the reasons why I think they're great is because they have a lot of number one hits. Well, am I lying or am I just wrong? Maybe I honestly thought that they did. And this can happen, right? Like, Miley Cyrus, an artist who's been around for quite some time and has been very successful. How many number one hits does she have? Not as many as you might think. She's got a lot of top 10 hits. She's got a lot of successful albums. She's got a lot of successful songs. She's been a very successful artist. But that specific number one doesn't have as many as you think. Neither does Britney Spears, for instance. Not as many as you might think. And this happens an awful lot, that a band that you may not know that well doesn't have as many number ones as you may think. They may have quite a few number twos, quite a few songs in the top five, but not that many number ones. And so Nickelback, obviously they are a successful band. I would imagine everyone in the band is now a millionaire of some kind. I would imagine they have millions of fans. I'm not one of them. I don't, in fact, think they're a great band. I think they're a good band. I think they're a very solid band. But their particular lyrical content and their particular musical genius is not anything that really appeals to me. I haven't listened to Nickelback in a long time, and I haven't really missed not doing so. For a while, I did this thing where I would deliberately listen through the entire discography of any number of bands, and just so happens that Britney Spears, Miley Cyrus, and Nickelback, all three of those artists are in fact bands that I've listened to at that time, everything that they'd released on major albums. Now, there could be some singles, there could be some marginalia, there could be some B-sides, there could be some EPs, and since I did this, one of these artists may very well have released a full album, far as I know. I don't exactly keep up on everything that these artists do. But at the time, I listened to all three of them. And of the three, I was impressed more with Britney Spears and with Miley Cyrus than I thought I would be. Um, Miley Cyrus has grown a lot from her early material, and you know, it's my opinion that she has the possibility of breaking out of sort of a superficial pop stardom and actually becoming a more serious artist. Now, whether or not she will go that direction, who's to say? But I think she has that potential. I think that she has a real artistic sensibility of some kind. But she's also a pop star, and she enjoys, I'm sure, that celebrity, that level of fame. I'm sure she enjoys the money and whatnot, the perks that come with it. And, the same with Britney Spears. Although I think that Britney Spears might be, she might be past the prime of what she was been able to give the world musically. And it's also quite possible with her that through a combination of her own decisions in brain chemistry and some decisions that were made by other people and some treatment that she received from other people, she may just not quite have the mental stability and the solidity to continue successfully. Now, I would absolutely love to be wrong about Britney Spears because nobody deserves to be damaged in that kind of way. And certainly there have been many, many cases of artists who have had various problems who have come back from them and have been successful. So I definitely hope Britney Spears can be one of those artists. But if you were to ask my opinion, that's my opinion, that she may be past what she's able to offer. But time will tell. So to get back to Nickelback, if I just said Nickelback is great, you'd want to know what my criteria was for believing this. And depending on my criteria, you could say whether or not you thought I was right. And me being right wouldn't necessarily mean I'm telling the truth, right? I mean, it gets a little jumbled there, and I'm running to the end of my time here, so I don't think I've quite pulled this together like I want to. So there will be a part two to this, dealing with more specifically what I'm trying to get at with this example. But the idea here is that someone who is narcissist believes that they're right about everything, apparently, or often believes that they're right. And I am not sure how useful of a definition of narcissism that is, because I don't think that there are many people who go around deliberately believing things that they know to be false or they think to be false. So if I were to believe Nickelback were the greatest band ever, I would assume that I would have some kind of criteria, some kind of standard by which I would make that claim. And I don't think that would I be a narcissist if I said that if you don't think Nickelback is great, something's wrong with you? Well, that's the kind of thing that fanboys say all the time about whatever, about the original trilogy of Star Wars, about, their presidential choice or whatever else it may be, that if you don't like whatever it is, then something's wrong with you. So, I don't know. Does that mean that everybody is narcissistic? Well, to the extent that your world must revolve around you and your sense experiences, perhaps. But stay tuned. More later.